Good morning, friends. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Medical Classes by Dr. Srinidhi Kumar Acharya. Please don't forget to subscribe my channel and also please give your valuable comments. So, as we know, we are discussing about the method of history taking, and we have completed up to past history. Okay. Now we come to one more important part in the history taking, that is family history. Family history is very important in childhood pediatric or in a pediatric history taking. Family history carries its own value. Okay, so we cannot neglect it, and it cannot be asked very superficially, because family history gives a maximum information. Okay, maximum information, and it is quite useful also. Okay, now see, a detailed family history should be taken, and it is very important. Now what is important is we have to prepare a family pedigree. Okay, so we should be prepared regarding the total kids or total number of children, which includes boys and girls. Then again, it includes living kids, abortion, then diseased child, affected child. Okay, so we will see it in detail. So like a family tree should be prepared. Okay, now first and second degree relatives health is very important. You have to inquire the health of the first and second degree relatives, or even third degree relatives of the family. Now disease in each generation, that has to be also asked. Whether a particular disease is there, no child is having some problem, and you have to ask in each generation whether this problem is coming or not, it is descending or not, because we know that autosomal and X-linked dominant problems, so usually they will have a tendency of not skipping the generation. So it's a vertical transmission, so they do not skip the generation. So disease in each generation. Then again comes male and female ratio, that is also important. Mostly in autosomal disorders, dominant or maybe recessive, the male and female ratio will be always equal. Okay, male and female ratio will going to change in the X-linked recessive and X-linked dominant disorders because of these XX and XY chromosomes. So only whether you have to see whether only males are affected throughout the family tree, or whether the only females are affected. Okay, so or multi-system presentation is there, etc. Suppose usually multi-system presentation will be seen in case of autosomal dominant presentations. Okay, dominant disorders, and usually in the recessive disorders we will only have the problem in functional problems will be there, like metabolism and all those things. Okay, so that has to be inquired. Suppose if somebody is suffering. Now history of previous abortions and death of the family members and age at which the death occurred. Okay, and again cause of the death and similar illness in other family members, like 2 to 3 generations, that has to be asked. That has to be asked. Again, the dominant recessive mitochondrial chromosomal disorders should be also identified with the possible available data. So if you take a proper family history, so many congenital or hereditary problems can be diagnosed up to 50%. Okay, by looking at the nature of the disease, but taking an important family history and preparing the family pedigree and as well as this family tree, that is very important. Now one more important thing is in the family history is familial customs. Okay, you have to take the family, you have to ask about the familial customs. So there are so many familial customs are there that will going to differ from family to family, and that can also lead to so many problems or so many disease conditions also, or symptoms also. Ethics, some of the family ethics are there because of which the child is having problem, or dietetic customs are there, so that should be also encountered, because these things will going to change from family to family. Like a few people are very strict vegetarians, so they are a few people are taking more non-veg food. Okay, so like that annaprasana has been that means supplementary feeding has been started too late according to some family customs. So like this there are different variations are there. Then important is familial tendency. Many times suppose you take the allergies. For the allergies, if you find you cannot find any the genetic defect or some chromosomal defect, etc., but still if the father is suffering from allergy, child is also suffering from allergy, it's because of the genetic tendency, or family, it's considered under familial tendency. Okay, so familial tendency is there, that has to be understood or inquired. Similarly, familial disorders should be also inquired. Now, few words about the advantage of the pedigree. Pedigree is very important. Okay, so maintenance of the pedigree will help to a genetic counselor to study the inheritance of the genes from generation to generation. Okay, so that is very important. For the genetic disorders, because genetic disorders are usually identified in the childhood period itself, maximum, isn't it? So therefore, in the childhood history taking, pedigree is very important. So now pedigree analysis is a study of pedigree for the transmission of the particular trait and finding the possibilities of absence or presence of the particular trait in the homozygous or heterozygous state in a particular individual. Okay, so it is useful for the genetic counselors to advise intending couples about the possibility of having children with the genetic defects like hemophilia, color blindness, and alkaptonuria. See, these are the recessive problems: alkaptonuria, phenylketonuria, thalassemia, sickle cell anemia, etc. So pedigree analysis indicates that Mendel's principles. I have posted 2 videos on the basics of genetics also. Mendelian's principle are also applicable to the human genetics with some modification to find out later, like the quantitative inheritance, sex-linked characters, and other linkages. So this can indicate the origin of a trait in the ancestors. For example, if you look at this hemophilia, actually it appeared in the Queen family, Queen Victoria, and then it spread in the royal families of the Europe through the marriages. Okay, therefore hemophilia is also called as a royal disease. Okay, so how it is possible? If you maintain a proper pedigree, then only we can identify this. Okay, so this can indicate the harm in the marriage between the close relatives. Anyway, so that's a different issue. Now, tools in the pedigree analysis. What are the different things that you have to know? An autosomal dominant trait which is present in the pedigree will never skip the generation. We know that. Okay, autosomal dominant will not skip the generation. In each and every generation, there will be one fellow who is get affected, one or more fellow. Male and female ratio is equal. Then an autosomal recessive disorders may skip the generation. Therefore, it is called as horizontal transmission. First one is called as a vertical transmission. Okay, a sex-linked dominant trait is more common in the females, when an X-linked recessive trait is more common in females. Okay, Y-linked trait is directly transmitted from father to son. See this, when you have got the proper pedigree pedigree chart, then these things can be very easily assessed, and you can make a possible diagnosis before doing any of the investigations or further examination also. Now, steps in analyzing the pedigree. First, we have to mark the generation by Roman number. There is a rule actually of writing the pedigree. Marks the generation. When you write the generation, so that has to be written in Roman language, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then mark the individuals. When you mark the individuals, so it has to be numbered by Arabic number, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then try to guess the expected inheritance. Then write the genotypes, complete or incomplete. Genotype you try to write. Then check if you are correct at all steps or not. So that we will see. Now in the pedigree, when you are writing, square it indicates the male, and round it indicates the female, and diamond it indicates the gender is unspecified, transgenders and all those things. If there is a triangle, it indicates that miscarriage. If there is a triangle, it indicates the miscarriage. And if there is a one square and one round, then it indicates a single, that means twin delivery from a single delivery. That means monozygous. Okay, single delivery, twin babies. Okay, square is there and that is shaded by the black color. Then it indicates the male is affected. Round is there, that is shaded by the black color. Then it indicates the female is affected. And if the square is there, it is shaded and with a cross. Okay, there is also a cross. Square, that means male, it is shaded now. Over that there will be a cross that suggests that male he is affected and he is died. Similarly for the female also. Now if the male and female with a single line, male and female written as single line, so then it indicates marriage line. Okay, it's a marriage line. If male and female, their marriage is indicated by the double line, that indicates the consanguineous marriage. Consanguineous marriage. Okay. Again, there you can write 1 for the first degree if it is consanguineous marriage. If it is first degree relatives, you write number 1. If it is second degree relative consanguineous marriage, write 2, like that. Okay. There is another is proband. Proband means the first person who come for the medical advice denoted by the arrow. Okay, that means suppose he came to the medical advice and he was the first person who is affected by this particular genetic problem, then he is called as proband. Okay, proband. That means first person we have identified. Okay, for us he is the first person, so he is called as proband. He is called as proband. To have a detail of that, so see, these are the things. Okay, male is by square and female by round, and this is a marriage by single line, consanguineous marriage by double line. This is proband. Okay, so shared with the arrow. Then affected individual male, affected individual female. Then this line suggests abortion or sex unspecified. Okay, and this is heterogeneous for the autosomal trait, like this. So this is square shaded, and there is a cross that indicates the death. This is monozygote twins, so like this. Okay, now, so this is the importance of a family. So family history is very important. Number one, to identify the genetic disorder. Number two, to identify the type of the genetic disorders, and to identify the consanguineous marriage, familial customs, familial ethics. Then if any death occur in the family, what is the cause of the death, timing of the death, and also the age of the death, and to identify the horizontal transmission or vertical transmission. Okay, so then familial disorders, okay, familial tendencies, and all these things has to be identified. Again, in the family history you can also include family income, but usually we will include that in the socio-economic status, therefore there is no need of that. Okay, so this is all about family history. Thank you very much. This is very important for the pediatric age group, family history, preparation of the family tree, and pedigree. So that's very, very important. Thank you very much. We will again meet in another class.